Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you logging in and watching my next video for our summer camp FACE program. Today is Tuesday, June the 21st, and today we have already had two sessions, and it is only 10:26. We had our first session this morning. We did Zumba in person live, yes. And then we came back and we had a session in the classroom where I presented what you're going to see now. And every Tuesday, we have one more week, we are doing our we are doing our learning about math. And so at this point, we are starting our math session. And I'm going to now hold up our QR code if you'd like to scan it. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Okay. If not a problem. You can always email me to let me know that you came and you saw and you participated. So today I'm going to start sharing with you the presentation that I've made. Now it's on math. So it covers a few different topics in math. And let's see. I do present now, right? Sorry, friends. Just 1 second. I'm trying to remember. Okay, there it is. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's start at the beginning. And here we go. Okay, so as you can see, math, or I put it in Spanish on a few slides, mathematicus, patterns, number identification, and counting. Okay, so during our session today, we're going to be learning about patterns, number identification, and counting. Now, patterns are all around us, like night, day, very basic stuff. But students need to be able to find the patterns. Next, after they can identify and tell you that's a pattern, hey, that happens over and over again. Next, the child needs to be able to extend. That means keep the pattern going. Then the next step to make it a little more difficult is the higher level thinking is to copy the pattern. Okay. So when a child can see, and when I say copy the pattern, I mean like we give them something and we show them, and then they have to use other objects to then make that same type of, is it ABA or ABA-C, whatever, however difficult you want it to be. When a child can see the patterns, then they're going to have the skills to be able to see the patterns in words and language. So patterning is super, super important. It's a very, very foundational skill that every child needs. And we have to make sure that we're giving them the tactile things to use to make the patterns. So then they can then use those skills to do higher level math and reading. So you're doing awesome, families, being here and learning this. So as we talk about the types of patterns, I put in here A, B, which like I showed you right here, apple, banana, ABB, apple, banana, ABC, apple, banana, grapes. Now we're going to use, we are going to be making patterns with Fruit Loops. That's what we're doing here if you were in the classroom with me today. But you can use anything around your home, totally anything. Part of me trying to do these videos is that I want to help inspire and help families know that you don't need to go out and buy things. That is not needed to be a good, helpful parent who's trying to continue their child's education so they don't backslide, so they don't have problems. Being an awesome parent doesn't mean you need to go out and spend money on stuff. It's using what you have and making the most of those teachable moments in the car, in the kitchen, walking with them, wherever you are. Okay. So you don't need to sit down at the table to be teaching them patterns and reviewing patterns. Pasta, beans, using different colored socks, using shapes. Anything that you have, you can use it to help your child. Okay. I love to use the eggs, the Easter eggs. I just had a whole bunch and I just put them back up on the shelf. Oh. These are great to use because they have a few, there's 3. Okay, so if you have some left over, these are great to use. So using things that you have, using things that your child likes to play with, if it's the cars, if it's blocks, whatever you have that's important to your child, those are great things. We can use sticks and flowers. We can use anything to make these patterns. The next thing, well, before we move on, I want to show you. Let me stop presenting for a second. Okay, just 1 second. No, not stop that. How do I stop presenting? That I have to click on that. Okay. Okay. So this paper, if you were here, you'd be getting this today. And it has little spaces to put the Fruit Loops. So like I have my little bag of Fruit Loops. 1 second. So I would be giving everybody a whole bunch of Fruit Loops today, using the Fruit Loops to continue the pattern, to make the pattern. And you can say, okay, let's start with an A-B pattern. Pick 2 colors. Okay, so what comes next? What comes after that? You can try ABC. You pick 3 colors. ABB. You're using things that you have. You can use pasta. You can use whatever. But the main thing is, okay, so we started with A, then we did blue. What comes next? What comes after that? What's next? You're using really good words that are describing the sequence. And we want to use those sequence words. Okay. And how this is the pattern right here. And then it repeats. Okay. Now in the pamphlet that I have for everyone, we're using Fruit Loops to do addition, subtraction. We're using the Fruit Loops in a 10 frame. We're sorting the Fruit Loops. And we are graphing Fruit Loops. Okay. You can do these things without the little Xerox paper. You can do them at home. You don't need that. The main thing, if you get that big old hunkin' bag, which I left it over there, of Cheerios at the grocery store or wherever, they're great because you get a whole bunch. And just like in the classroom, the kids will use a little, eat a little, use a little, eat a little, and there's enough for that to happen. But it's fun and it's interesting. And so, but being able to build that first foundation of patterns is super important. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. That's not the right thing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Next part. Okay, here we go. Oh, wrong thing. Wrong thing. Here we go. Is the number patterns. Okay, so these are numbers in a special order. Counting by 2s, 5s, or 10s are some examples. If you look at a hundreds chart and color each row going down a different color, that is another way of showing patterns. And I gave it a little example right there. Okay, so now when you're talking about number patterns, you want to make sure that you're using the vocabulary before, after, in the middle, greater than, less than, more than, fewer. All of these words are super, super important. And these are things that if you want to take a screenshot, that's great. If you want to write them down, put them on an index card so you have them. And you can just use them whenever you're using this 100s chart. Now, if you would like me to email it to you, I can. Just, shoot me an email and I can send it to you in an attachment. You can download free ones off the internet too. Just let me know how I can help you. But you want to make sure you're asking your child questions about the number. So just give them the 100s chart and say, okay, go look at the numbers and count. That's one thing, which is really good, to touch and count the numbers, which is in our next section. But this part is actually looking at the 100s chart and saying, okay, so find number 26. Okay, what comes before? What comes after? Awesome job. Okay, now what's this number? That's 14. Okay, what is a number that is greater than? What is a number that is less than 14? So you're helping them understand and see numbers in the pattern. And if you use a color, just a crayon, and you color real lightly, then you can make those patterns going down so they can see, oh, all these numbers have twos, all these have threes, these have fours. Understanding when they count by tens, all those numbers end in a zero. But they have to see and they have to touch it and they have to be looking at it many times for them to recognize and see the patterns in numbers. Okay. But first we got to get the patterns with Fruit Loops and beans and pasta, things like that, before we can start to see more patterns. Okay. So this is how we're going to build on that skill. Okay. Okay. Yep. Let's move on. Okay. The next section, the last one for today, is number identification and counting. Students need to be able to look at numbers in any order and know them. So you first want to start with 0 to 10, then 11 to 20, and then go higher. And just know that those teen numbers are hard. And when you get like from 11 to 16, it's a little difficult. Those tend to throw them off. And so just know if those are the only ones causing them problems, then you may want to go on and move into the 20s. Okay. And they'll start to say, hey, after you finish the number over here with the 0, then you keep saying the 1, 2, 3, 4. They're like, hey, that's like a pattern. That's right. So we want them to continue and be exposed. Don't just stop there, but understand that if they're an early learner, a young learner, and they're still trying to recognize numbers 0 to 10, putting in those higher numbers, that's just going to be frustrating. It's like a foreign language still. Okay. So just depending on the skill level of your child, and we don't want to put them to the point of frustration. We want them to be challenged, but not frustrated. Okay. So we want them to touch the numbers, say the numbers. Then another really important part in having a 100s chart is then starting anywhere in the chart. You can be in the car. You could be in the kitchen. You could be on a walk when you don't have the paper with you. And you may want to make a couple copies. So you keep one in the car and then you keep one, maybe wherever you do some work, maybe you want to keep one in the kitchen. So if they're doing something, then they can just pull it out and they can start at that number that you said and start counting. Because first they're going to have to look at that number and they're going to have to know that number. Then they can start counting. And when they can do it without even using the number chart, whoa, that's awesome. Great job. Great job. Okay. And my next slide has some ideas. Okay. So identifying numbers. So many fun things to do. Playing Uno. I have my Uno cards right here. I found this box and I wondered where it was. This was supposed to be a Christmas present for one of my kids and I couldn't find it. I just found it. And I was like, hey, I can take this. So these Uno cards are great practice. You can give them the cards. They can draw a card, pick one out of the deck. And then you're like, okay, what number is that? What is a number that is one more, one less? What is the number that is greater than? What is the number that's less than? It could be any number. If they draw a number 4, okay, 14, that's greater than. 1 is less than, okay? Then you can say, if you put a 2 in front of it, what is it? Put a 2 after that number, what is it? Put 2 cards together, you're adding. So Uno cards are amazing. They're so cool. Okay, Chutes and Ladders. It's an old-timey, I know, board game, but it's great for numbers. And it goes really high. So, and they're going up and down, up and down. It's wonderful. Look in junk mail, books, magazines for numbers. Have your child tell you the number. Then use the vocabulary to bump it up. And I mean like more than, less than, I mean greater than, fewer. Use those words that we just talked about in the last slide. And that can help them identify the numbers, but then also make it a little harder. Because identifying is just looking at a number. You're showing them a number and they have to know it within 3 seconds. It has to be fast. We want them to know it, just like letters, very quickly. Because then when they're doing other things with those numbers, they can do the next skill. So they have to have the numbers down quickly. Counting. You know, there's some great counting YouTube videos. Jack Hartman, there's the Singing Walrus. There's so many awesome ones out there. Those are great for them to keep those songs in their head, listen to them, see the numbers flashing and dancing and all this stuff. Playing games with number cards. Don't have to spend any money. Just use some index cards, get some sticky notes even. Totally not a big deal. Use those things, the sticky notes, and you put numbers on them and you pull one out of a hat. Okay, tell you the number. Go write it with chalk. Spray the chalk with a water gun, with a little water squirter. I can't say it. A water bottle. And they're making the number while they're shooting the water onto the chalk. So, I mean, that's also good fine motor. Use the number chart to practice, starting at any spot on the number chart, okay? And count everywhere. You want them to start seeing those numbers, not just, okay, on a piece of paper. We want them to start seeing those numbers when they're at Whataburger, when they're in the grocery store, and, you know, wherever you're with them. If they're, oh, look at that license plate. Look over there at that sign. They start seeing the numbers and they start understanding numbers are everywhere. And numbers are super important, just like on the phone when they're looking at your phone. So helping them see the numbers, count the numbers, identify numbers, seeing the patterns in the world around us, how things repeat, and being able to see number patterns, that's super, super important. Thank you so much for watching my video or coming in person. And maybe you came in, then you went back and watched it. And if you have any questions, I hope that you feel free. Let me get out of here. Exit full screen. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Hold up, friends. Just 1 second. Exit slideshow. There we go. Okay. If you have any questions, stop presenting. Here we go. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. If you have any suggestions or anything, I would love to hear from you. Now we have 2 more days this week. We have Wednesday tomorrow, and then we have Thursday. Thursday, we're going to be doing our yoga class again in the morning. Then we have all next week, and that will be it for our summer camp face program here at Stovall Primary. Well, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to having you come back and watch another video real soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.